Welcome to Capital City News, your source for staying informed and engaged with Salt Lake City government. I'm your host, Brian Young with Salt Lake City TV. Our interview this week is with Kyle Irvin, a GIS and communications coordinator for the Salt Lake City Streets Department. And since it's Halloween season, our History Minute is about the Halloween films that filmed right here in Salt Lake City. But before we get to that, let's take a look at our legislative update, then take a look back and a look ahead.
At its October 5th meeting, the City Council selected Councilmember Chris Wharton to replace outgoing Councilmember James Rogers as the Council Vice Chair, and selected Councilmember Dennis Ferris to serve on the Inland Port Authority Board. They also passed two resolutions, one declaring Monday, October 11th, Indigenous Peoples Day, and another declaring the month of November Native American Heritage Month. At their October 12th meeting, the City Council extended the emergency order allowing the K-12 mask mandate to continue through December. They also received a number of updates regarding ongoing issues ranging from COVID-19 to racial equity in policing. And, acting as the redevelopment agency, received a briefing about a new sustainable development policy, and passed a budget amendment that includes funding for a study to daylight City Creek along the Folsom Corridor. To learn more, visit slc.gov/council. The Salt Lake City Department of Airports marked a major milestone in the construction of Phase 2 of the new SLC, when one of the last steel beams was raised to a high point on top of Concourse A East. Mayor Mendenhall and others spoke in honor of the occasion.
What we're doing isn't celebrating the completion, but really the process that is you, that is the work you come to do day in and day out. And it's the process that ends up resulting in a product that we are so proud of as Salt Lakers, and I know that the entire state of Utah is so proud of the airport that you are building.
The Centers for Disease Control have announced new guidelines for vaccine boosters. Everyone should get vaccinated, but if you've received the Pfizer vaccine and are within certain groups, you should look to receive your third dose if you're 6 months past your second dose. These include folks over the age of 65 years old and long-term care residents, folks 18 to 64 with underlying medical conditions, and anyone who works in an environment that has an increased exposure to COVID. But most importantly, get your first dose. For information on where to get your vaccine, visit the county vaccination website. We have multiple surveys open right now about projects related to transportation in West Side neighborhoods. We want your feedback about the 1000 West Mini Corridor Study, new draft 600-700 North Vision, and more. Learn about all these different projects at slc.gov/transportation/westside-projects.
Even through Halloween, road construction continues in Salt Lake City. Today for our road construction update, we'll take a look at the 300 North Pedestrian Bridge and 900 South.
Salt Lake City is partnering with Utah Transit Authority, Union Pacific Railroad, Wasatch Front Regional Council, the Utah Department of Transportation, and community groups to build a 300 North pedestrian bridge over the railroad tracks at 500 West to create a safe connection for walking and biking that also reflects community character and needs. Construction is starting this month, October 2021. Learn more at slc.gov/transportation/300 North Bridge. Construction continues on the central 9th portion of the 900 South project. The project so far has focused on undergrounding utility poles, doing waterline work, and preparing the area for the 9-line trail extension. Waterline work will impact traffic on West Temple between 800 South and 900 South, while at least one lane will be maintained southbound at all times. We recommend avoiding the area during rush hour. Learn more at 900southslc.com.
That's it for our update this week. If you want to keep up to date on these road construction projects or any others, be sure to visit the city's My Streets page, or for those funded by Funding Our Future, go to slc.gov/bondmap. As the weather turns nice and the beautiful autumn colors take hold in Salt Lake City, the falling leaves can be a problem. We spoke to Kyle Irvin at the Salt Lake City Streets Department to talk about how you can help.
So Salt Lake City has an amazing urban forest of over 85,000 trees that we all love, but every fall all of those trees drop onto the streets and into the gutters and storm drains, and it creates a unique challenge for the Streets Division and also our stormwater infrastructure. During this time of the year, from roughly mid-October to March, our street sweepers are running at maximum capacity. They actually spend a lot of time hauling leaves and dumping those leaves rather than actually keeping the streets clean. We track all of our sweepers with GPS and found that in previous years they're running certain routes up to 5 times more often than usual, which puts unnecessary strain on our sweeping program and creates a lot of extra greenhouse gas emissions. So what can residents do to help? Well, our main request is to please don't blow or rake leaves into the street. Cleaning up the fall leaves doesn't have to be this huge project that you do all at once. You can rake them into a big pile into your yard and fill up your brown compost bin 1 time a week. You can also try composting the leaves into your yard or mulching them into your flower beds and garden. It would be great if you could help us clean out the gutter. That material that you collect and put in the brown bins is sent directly to the city's composting pile rather than our street sweepers. They send that material to the landfill. The Waste and Recycling Division has an awesome program where residents can request extra brown bins at any time of the year free of charge. You can request 1 extra brown bin for 8 weeks or 2 extra brown bins for 4 weeks. To take advantage of this program, you can call the Waste and Recycling Division at 801-535-6999. This is a group effort for everyone involved in the city, but if everyone helps out a little bit, it'll make it a lot easier for our team and help keep our local waterways clean.
It's time again for the History Minute. The Halloween film franchise has been a mainstay in horror films since its first release in 1978. Created and directed by legendary filmmaker John Carpenter, the original film set a standard in slasher films moving forward. Starring Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasance, the film tells the tale of Michael Myers, a man who killed his sister on Halloween night in 1963. 15 years later, he breaks out of an asylum to kill again. Michael Myers took a place in horror history alongside Jason and Freddy, but future installments of the franchise wouldn't treat the characters so well. As was the habit through the 80s and 90s, cheap sequels were churned out, hoping to capitalize on the popularity of the original. Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, had already completed principal photography in California, but when more shooting needed to be completed, the cost of recreating fall in California in spring was too much, so the filmmakers came to Salt Lake City. The experience went well enough that filmmakers returned to film Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. The houses of Michael Myers and other characters were filmed up in the avenues, and the film wasn't terribly well received, but did well enough to warrant another sequel. Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, continued the tradition of shooting in Salt Lake City, choosing another mansion in the avenues for the Strode House and bringing newcomer Paul Rudd to the franchise alongside Donald Pleasance's Dr. Loomis. Halloween 6, shot in Salt Lake City, is regarded as the worst film in the Halloween franchise and is disavowed by cast and crew alike. Whether they were well received or not, these Halloween movies placed Salt Lake City in an important moment in horror film history. That's it for another episode of Capital City News. Remember, the best way to stay engaged is to stay informed. You can do that by following our social media at slc.gov, subscribing to us on YouTube, or watching us on Channel 17. So, for Salt Lake City TV, I'm Brian Young.